taken over for the 99 and the 2000. This is what really happened to rapper Juvenile, Cash Money Records. We've witnessed hip-hop's forever changing evolutions, with each altering decade. From Run DMC to the more aggressive gangsta rap era of NWA and Tupac, the mid-90s to early 2000s served as a pivotal point for an influx of rappers attempting to break out onto the scene, and Cash Money's Juvenile is one of them. Best known for his mega twerk anthem, Back That Thang Up, Juvenile, along with his other Cash Money alumni, were responsible for giving us explicit records that we'd hear at the annual FreakNik, and surprisingly become iconic staples in the hip-hop sector. But despite his hit tunes, we haven't really seen much of Juvenile since he took over for the 99 and 2000. Legal troubles, drug charges, and a horrific tragedy may play a leading role as to why that might be. Brought up in the Louisiana projects of New Orleans, Tyrius Gray was like any other person trying to make it out from underneath the slums of NOLA. Working your average but not so average 9 to 5 as a construction worker, working on plants, lights, and all things else, he had been making a pretty large sum of money. But while his days on the job served him well, he was destined to fulfill his dreams of being a rapper. He blew up around the New Orleans area with local hits like the Juvenile Bounce, which aided in the spread of the NO Bounce movement, gifting him notoriety from not only listeners, but big-time label execs, Cash Money Records being one of them. Head of the label, Birdman, took his chance to swoop up a rising juvie and attempted to sign him to the label. Except there was just one main problem. Juvenile basically said either stack up the racks or keep it pushing, since the current job he'd been working was paying him decently enough. With that, Birdman, with a swipe of his ashy hands, told him to say less. $2,000 a week was the solidifying deal that Juvenile wanted, and $2,000 a week was exactly what he'd get. Once it was official, and his signature was accurately printed on the dotted lines, he joined his other Cash Money mates, Lil Wayne and BG, and started working on his debut album distributed by Cash Money almost immediately. Teaming up with rapper and producer Manny Fresh, who he'd end up working with for the majority of his music, they released their first batch of songs as a group, deemed the Hot Boys, in 1997 with the album Get It How You Live. A year after the drop, Juvenile released his most notable body of work to date, 400 Degrees, in '98, this becoming his introduction to the national rap scene, propelling him into the mainstream. At the time of the release, Cash Money had a joint distribution with Universal Records, giving 400 Degrees that extra push and attention it wouldn't have had otherwise. The album single, Back That Thang Up, if you want to keep it PG, exploded not only in local areas of Atlanta and Louisiana, but to Juvenile's surprise, it became somewhat of a national anthem. A twerking national anthem, that is. The big track featuring Lil Wayne and Manny Fresh did huge numbers, as well as the accompanying music video. And legend has it, if you look closely enough, you'll probably be able to catch a glimpse of your aunties, and possibly your young mothers throwing it back recklessly. The iconic Cash Money Records taking over for the 99 and 2000 would not only be an indicator for the ladies to rush to the nearest dance floor and twerk viciously, but it would also become a meme decades down the road. Controversy soon followed the success of Back That Thang Up, when another artist, New Orleans-based DJ Jubilee, claimed that the song sounded oddly similar to his own song with the exact same song title, and even tried to sue Mr. Back That Thang Up himself. But the lawsuit never came to fruition. Overall, Juvenile's solo debut with Cash Money not only went certified platinum 4 times, it certified his place within hip-hop's expanding diaspora and prepared him for his numerous other projects that he'd drop. Over the next few years, he'd released 2 other solo projects with Cash Money, G-Code, Project English. both going platinum and double platinum. They were able to ride the coat of 400 Degrees, both achieving the top 10 spot on Billboard's Hot 200. But neither were able to quite reach the success of his first album. Juvenile eventually left Cash Money in 2003, citing contractual and money issues as the force behind his departure. Something Cash Money would be placed in the hot seat about time and time again. Returning to his home base in 2003, Juve the Great had gone certified platinum, and its leading single, Slow Motion, featuring Soulja Slim, became his first #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. By the time 2005 rolled around, he'd about had it with Cash Moolah and made the decision to sign a new deal with Atlantic Records, as well as a separate record label deal for his own UTP imprint, Reality Check. His 2006 studio album debuted at #1 on Billboard's Hot 200, becoming his first #1 album. Having been granted his own label imprint made Juvenile realize that he wasn't given much creative freedom over at Cash Money, which is why he wouldn't be associated with Birdman's Baby for years to come. His follow-up album, Cocky and Confident, would become his lowest charting album since before he took over for the 99 and 2000. Along with his lowest charting album came the lowest moments of his life. In the year 2004, Juvenile aided in welcoming a baby girl, Jelani Deliston, with her mother, Joy Deliston, a sheriff's deputy. Tragedy struck 4 years later on February 29, 2008, when a then 4-year-old Jelani was shot and killed in her home, along with her mother, Joy, and older sister. The triple homicide was reported to have been committed by Joy's own 17-year-old son, Anthony Tyrone Terrell Jr., who had returned to the crime scene only after police arrived to implicit himself on the murders. Terrell was then later charged with 3 counts of murders and 3 counts of aggravated assault, and remains in the DeKalb County Jail. The motive behind the madness, according to the murderer himself, was all due to an argument he had with his mother beforehand. Wanting to take his own life instead of his relatives, he just wasn't able to pull the trigger on himself, and instead grabbed his mother's deputy gun, shooting her at a close range, before turning towards his younger sister, who had witnessed the horrific murder of her mother, shooting her. Making his way upstairs, he had found his 4-year-old sister, Jelani, who had heard all the commotion, before kissing her on the forehead and shooting her twice in the chest. Unable to be given the death penalty due to his age, he was served with 2 life sentences after pleading guilty. When word of the news got around, fans quickly began questioning Juvenile's lack of communication and overall silence regarding the death of his daughter, releasing a short PR type of statement stating how devastated he was upon hearing the tragic news. He'd later experience a swarm of backlash yet again when he'd appear to be absent for Jelani's funeral, later on giving yet another PR-esque statement, claiming that he didn't show up at her funeral due to potential media coverage and didn't want to ruin it for all who attended. Word on the street is, Juvenile wasn't involved in Jelani's life since the date of her birth, fighting her mother for DNA results that had proved that he was, in fact, the father of Jelani. But that didn't push him to be an active figure in her life. Backed child support had gotten him in a lot of trouble throughout the years. Not just support for Jelani, but from all of his other kids as well. He'd eventually be arrested in 2013 for owing over $170,000 in backed child support. And his legal troubles didn't end, nor did they begin just there. In 2010, he was arrested in Louisiana while recording music at a house in the area after a neighbor had snitched and called the police after smelling marijuana. Pleading guilty, he was sentenced to 3 months in jail and 6 months probation. He was sentenced to similar charges in 2002 and in 2003. He was arrested for inciting a fight with his barber over speculations that the barber was selling bootlegged copies of Juvenile's music. It really be your own barber. It seems as if Juvie hasn't gotten into any legal trouble since then, and is on a cleaner streak overall. In the Black Mirror year of 2020, he endorsed politician Tom Steyer in the United States presidential election and posted a clip dancing to his hit, Back That Thang Up, going viral across the internet. Using a similar tactic for the C-19 vaccine, he remixed Back That Thang Up in order to promote a pro-vax stance, giving the title Vax That Thang Up. On our list of things we never expected, the song, along with the semi-hilarious music video, spread across the media like wildfire, most people sharing the odd remix solely for laughs. He released a collaborative project, Just Another Gangsta, with Birdman in 2019, and was able to equip his own luxury furniture brand. He stepped outside of his rap realm and drove into another venture of interest, designing quirky pieces of tables, lamps, and liquor dispensers. He's been married to his wife, Shadona, since 2004, and received the keys to the city of New Orleans in 2021, all whilst wearing a do-rag and a pair of loafers. All in all, he may not be in demand in the music side of things like he once had been, but his ideas and overall work are being sought after in other fields. Some of his children are even following in his footsteps, becoming rappers in their own right, with Juvie playing the role of both father and manager. He resigned with Cash Money back in 2014 and continues to drop music to this day. But nothing may ever top that time back in 1999 when he took over for the 99s and 2000s. An icon in his own NOLA right. Were you a fan of Juvenile? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.